And hello again, everyone. Welcome to yet another edition of Frazier and Deeter's Business Beat. I'm John Ray alongside Roger Lusby.
Good morning, John. How are you? Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day a little later. Have you got time to be here? It's the season.
We always have to do these things. These
are
special things, and we just make it work.
Because we've got some special folks with us, right?
We do.
We take the time for that. So before we get to our special guest, we've got actually kind of an inside guest. We've got Adele Erdman.
We do. We have our Executive Director of Marketing at Frazier Deeter. She heads up the whole firm. And Adele, thanks for being here.
All right. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Adele. Tell folks, everybody thinks they know what the Director of Marketing does, but tell folks just a little bit about that.
Sure. We do all kinds of things to promote the Frazier and Deeter family of brands. And we have currently 9 offices in the U.S. and 1 office in the U.K., so we always have something exciting going on.
You do, and it's hard to keep up. And I try to keep up, and it's hard to keep up. So congratulations on all your success and what you're doing to get the word out.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And we want to turn to Mary Hester. Mary is with us. She's the CEO of LAN Systems. Mary, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
It's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about you and tell us about LAN Systems. How do you help folks?
Well, we help people with their IT needs. So if you have a problem, we're there for you. But if you want to grow and if you want your IT to be the best it can be, so we always say do more in less time.
Now, Mary, I went and looked up your background. You've got a lot of personality for having an engineering background.
Well,
how did that happen?
Well, I'm a female engineer, so we all have
there you
personality.
Go. Yeah, you're a unicorn, right?
Unicorn, well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, a good unicorn.
Yes, and all engineers are unicorns. And
yes.
All female engineers especially. So
for sure.
Engineers, we make reality happen, right?
Right.
Well, why don't you tell them a little bit about your background?
So I'm an electrical engineer, worked for power utilities for a number of years, and then moved back to Atlanta, which is home, and looked for a job and thought I'd go to work for local consulting house or power utility. And I found a job. It was a temporary job in the paper for a SCADA engineer. And if anyone knows what SCADA is, it's very, very highly specialized. I said, well, I can do SCADA. Well, I stayed there for 10 years. So my temporary 90-day assignment turned into a 10-year gig.
Oh, wow.
And what I realized is I loved working with people. And I really enjoyed the support side of engineering. And we grew a department that was head and shoulders above any in the world. And so when I left there, I said, well, I'd like to stay in IT and engineering. And so I bought LAN in January of 2008. And if you can remember January 2008.
The world was falling apart.
The world was falling apart. And there was probably not a better or worse time to buy a company. And so we made it through the Great Recession. And here we are.
Wow. You've got guts.
Well,
let's just call that
guts,
out.
Right?
Yeah, but to make that decision to buy.
Yeah, and I have a lot of support from my husband and my family, so there was a lot of people that were rooting for me.
Wow.
And then LAN Systems is right here, based in Gwinnett.
Based in Gwinnett in Berkeley Lake. We're in Norcross in Berkeley Lake, and been here the company was started in 87, incorporated in 93, and I bought it in 2008.
And today, how many people?
17 plus.
Yeah.
And like we were talking earlier, the best places to work, 6 years in a row.
Yeah, so that's always exciting when your employees can validate, not only where they're working and the fact that they enjoy it, but contributing to the success of the company.
That's right. And so like we were talking earlier, when we won 3-3-1-9-8-2, and there's not much statistical difference to get into engineering. There's not too much statistical difference between 1 and 9, but the really cool part is you get to go up on stage if you're number 1 and brag about your people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
awesome.
Source of pride and joy.
That's awesome. And let's be clear on this. So it not just you won that many years in a row, but there really aren't that many other companies in the services business and certainly IT services that are on that list. That's
right, because when they ask you the benefits you offer, some of the benefits are, do you go on cruises together? Well, we can't go on cruises together because we're 24/7. They ask if you have beer on tap. Well, we don't drink on the job, and because we have to do very, intricate computer work. We don't even have casual Friday because we don't know when we might have to go out to a customer.
Sure.
So, but we do every day. We're there working together. We have, we support each other. Two things that I think are real important. We have a Sherpa program to help new employees on board, and we have a lab where people can go in and learn the newest in technology.
But Frazier Deeter's been fortunate enough to win that award as well. Never 6 years in a row, I might add. But
not yet.
Not yet. But one of the big factors was retention, and so you're in a high turnover environment there with IT. But just speak about retention a little bit.
Yes, Roger, that's right. It's very high turnover in IT, and in our business, it's not always easy to keep your employees happy. What we do is hard work, but we try to make it as not only pleasant for the employees, but so that they're always learning. Because technology people, that's one of the important attributes is they're learning. They're really smart. And it's not always easy to manage smart people, as you all know. So you have to find things that are challenging and rewarding for them. But the retention it's something that we work on all the time. It's a goal you want to achieve.
Right.
You'd like for people to stay forever, but I will say that's one of my sources of pride of having my own business is what I'm able to do for the young people, especially the young people that work for me, and see them really come into themselves and grow their careers.
Yeah, because I suspect that you're a lot like our firm. We have so many young people that work with us, and it's generational differences as far as me being a partner and working with the staff, many of whom are younger than my daughters. So
right. Well, and I think that a lot of times you hear about these negative attributes of millennials. I don't see that. I think that they are a wonderful generation. They're very invested. They're very engaged. They're so smart. They have opportunities that many of us didn't have, and I think they do a good job of using them.
I agree with all that, but they do work differently.
They do work very differently, and you have to understand that. But we've indulged our children so much, so I can kind of see, because I indulged mine. But I tell people that technology people tend to be zero-sum game, so the way their minds work, I win, you lose, you win, I lose. And we look for people that do truly believe the rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's what changed our company when we started to really look at that attribute rather than hire just for the technology.
And tell us about some of the clients that you serve and work with.
We were talking about Atlanta Ballet, wonderful company, wonderful people. They just, I don't know if anyone saw the new Nutcracker, but it is just a fabulous show. They're just such hardworking people. We've been really proud to be able to help them with their IT. Because for us, IT is if we can make your IT just a little bit better, you can become such a better company. You can do things faster. You can be more efficient, more productive. And a lot of people don't realize that very small IT changes can give you big dividends, big returns. Very small IT problems can cause you to waste a lot of time just churning in the IT space. So just very small, modest improvements can give you a big return.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mary, because I noticed that on your website, you talked several instances of talking about return on investment. And I think a lot of business owners see IT as a cost, not an investment, certainly not an investment that provides a return. So maybe you can unpack that a little more. Well,
it is usually put in a cost center, right? So it's usually in a cost center, but it is as much of an investment. So the two ways we improve the bottom line, increase revenue, reduce cost, IT does both. It both increases your revenue and reduces your cost. And you have to have a plan for it. You have to have a program. It's just like anything. You can't, I think a lot of times people feel that initiatives are failing because they don't really put the time in front to plan the initiative and then to train the employees. We believe so strongly that you have to train your employees to use the technology. Even young people that understand technology need to know how to use it for productivity. It's not a game. It's business.
And then you work with a lot of not-for-profits, correct?
We do. So, and every year we adopt a not-for-profit to get our proceeds from our e-recycling. So we don't believe you should throw any electronics in the landfill. Recycle them. You can be very responsible about doing that. So you get a little bit of money. It's not a lot, but we donate that. This year it's to Senior Services North Fulton. And if anyone has a chance to go look at their mission, fantastic organization. They do the Meals on Wheels. They have all kinds of programs. They've been around for, I believe, 32 years, an incredible organization. And they are in a space where we're all aging, right? That's the common thing with all of us. We're all getting older, and our populations, the average age is going up, and Senior Services North Fulton serves the seniors in North Fulton.
Right. And
incredible organization.
Yeah, I mean, they're going up right and left up here in North Fulton, Gwinnett as well. So,
and people have a misunderstanding that it's very affluent. There's so much need, and even if you're affluent, it's nice to have the services someplace that you can go to have a community and companionship.
Well, and you know about that from some of your other support, because I noticed you've been a past supporter, or maybe your current supporter too, of Rainbow Village as well. So
yes, and that's a great organization for helping, especially single mothers, get out of the cycle of poverty.
Sure.
I just came off being the board chair for 2 years for the Gwinnett Coalition for Health and Human Services, another organization that there's no lack of work. So if you want to get into the nonprofit community, there's lots of opportunities.
That's awesome. Folks, we're speaking with Mary Hester, and she's the CEO of LAN Systems in Berkeley Lake here in the Atlanta area. So, Mary, let's talk a little bit about IT specifically. And one of the things that really stood out about our pre-show conversation for me was you talking about how IT is fun. We see it as fun.
Yeah, we get jazzed by it.
Yeah, I know.
Not everyone.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, we just bought a 3D printer, and the first thing we made on our 3D printer was a little puppy dog. So, I mean, it's just so cool. Technology is just amazing. But we get really excited about it. We see not only that it helps people, but it helps businesses. And technology, to me, is the great field leveler. And so as a female engineer, if it wasn't for technology, I wouldn't have the opportunities that I have. Many other women wouldn't have the opportunities that they have. Technology gives us not only personal satisfaction, but it also gives us business growth. Sometimes sometimes you have to balance it, right? So technology does great things, and technology does awful things, and so you look at like cybersecurity. We are always trying to train people to avoid phishing scams. Mm-hmm. Today, the biggest threat to your organization is phishing that comes in through email. And you have to train your employees to identify it and avoid it, because there are people out there all the time trying to get into your systems.
Right. And even though they have these courses, and we've all taken them ourselves at Frazier and Deeter with the online courses, and actually some of them are quite good. But still, you get so busy, and you just have a tendency to click on something.
Yes.
And, it can happen to anybody.
And sometimes one of the things we do is we take away some permissions and some privilege. So even if someone clicks on something, it can cause damage to the network. And people get upset about that because it's not convenient. And security is the difference between security and convenience. They have an inverse proportionality. So the more convenient a network is, the less convenient it is. And the more convenient it is, the less secure it is. So we try to balance that so that people can continue to do their work in a safe way. But so we believe in a pessimistic system. If it's optimistic and you give a lot of permission and you take them away, people get upset. So it's nicer to start pessimistic and then give permissions, and then people are much happier about that.
Mary, you've talked a little bit about the changing model for managed service providers. Unpack that for our listeners.
It started where it was break fix. We did hourly work, and then the model changed to it was more of a hardware based. So you would buy hardware, and software was was the add-on. And then it was software. Software, you paid for the software, and the hardware was kind of bundled in. Today, it's all about services. And it's hard for a model that started with hourly work, because sometimes people think of us as hourly. And they say, okay, well, if I paid this amount, X amount of money, I equate that to a certain number of hours that you should be spending. And I always tell people, don't think about it as hourly, look at it as results. Because if you've spent an hour, we spent an hour working on something, you've probably spent 2 hours. And a lot of times that's wasted. So get in front of it, be more productive, be more efficient, because you should spend less time managing IT problems and more time managing your business.
Well, and part of what folks are paying you for is insurance, right? I mean, it's really insurance against disaster if they're doing it themselves.
That's right. Yes, if you look at it that way, then I think that you say, okay, let me make it the best that I can be, and you take the hours out of it.
Sure.
And what we do now, we do remotely. It used to be we had to go on site, but that is a big change in our industry. We can work anywhere in the world pretty much as easily as what we used to do on site. There's still some things that we have to go on site for, but we've become a remote business.
So your clients are not just here in the Atlanta area, but
throughout
well
the
beyond.
Southeast, and could be throughout the world. And the cloud has really enabled that. People know all about the cloud now, but it's the bandwidth. We waited for bandwidth to catch up with the software. So now people can do their work anywhere, anytime. Mm-hmm. So you can work at a coffee shop pretty much as easily as you can work at your office. But you do have to be careful. That's one thing, Roger, you were saying about training people and them still not identifying it. Working on your phone is not easy because it's smaller. And I think a lot of people make mistakes when they're on their phone, especially email. So I would say if you're working remotely on a laptop or your phone, be extra careful when you're answering email. Make sure it's the person that you think that it is.
Folks, this inspiring story, and it is inspiring to hear what Mary's up to. This inspiring story of business success is presented by the Alpharetta office of Frazier Deeter, and Frazier Deeter is an award-winning international CPA and advisory firm with the London office. I love it. With deep technical expertise and an even deeper dedication to their clients. Their CPAs and advisors believe in investing in relationships to make a difference. For more information, go to FrazierDeeter.com.
And I would like to say that is so true. Everyone at Frazier Deeter has just been so wonderful. Adele has just been fantastic about staying in touch, developing relationships, not only with me, but with everyone she knows. And it's all about relationships. We talk about technology and the transactional nature of it, but it's still about people to people.
Right. So, Mary, where do you see the economy right now as far as for LAN, the opportunities, maybe some of the ways that you guys are branding yourselves and other services that you're looking to add on?
Roger, the economy right now is stronger than, we went through the Great Recession, so we see it very strong, but it's almost like it will never be like it was in the 90s. The 90s was the heyday. We saw so much growth and there were so many companies. Now you see a consolidation. Companies are getting bigger and bigger. But I think that any company that wants to grow, they know they need technology. They know that they need that to enable them. And for us at LAN, we try to get them aligned so that their technology works for them, so they're not constantly at odds and fighting the technology. We look at the way they work and the way that they want to implement their business strategy, and we align their technology with that. So that's one area that we can really help people in a good economy or a bad economy. And then also for security, we really spend time trying to we secure the system. There's so many configurations and software that we use that gives a basic security, that it does the network security, intrusion protection. But today it's about the users. And so we have to train our customers to avoid those. We do, bundled in with all of our managed service agreements, is a yearly phishing training. So we'll come out and we'll do cybersecurity training. for each of the clients to help them, because those losses, as you know, can be big losses. You lose, $10, $15, $20,000, $100,000. It takes a lot of revenue to make that up.
Yeah, or they're held up for ransomware or any of the other things that can happen.
Yes. Ransomware is a big problem.
Or they're put out of business.
Or they're put out of business because they lose their data.
Right.
And they do, everyone recommends, every professional, including the FBI recommends don't pay the ransom, but sometimes people do because they feel like they have no other choice. If they hire us, LAN Systems, or a company like us, we will make sure they have backup, so they have disaster recovery. So if the worst happens, they can recover from it.
Now, Mary, I wanted, we're coming up here on nearing the end of our hour, our time together, but I don't want to leave without talking about being a woman CEO in IT, because that's like a big deal. And I mean, a lot of times we'd like to think that's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And you've got to manage a mostly male workforce, I assume, and you've got to navigate a lot of things that a lot of males don't have to navigate. So unpack that, talk a little bit about that.
Well, John, I appreciate that. And I think that in any company, whether you're male or female, it's about servant leadership. You should be a servant leader. You should serve your people. You should be as invested in their future as they are. So I think being a woman gives you some unique challenges, but then being a man gives you some unique challenges. I was fortunate. I have 3 younger brothers, so I know all about boys. There's not a day that I didn't figure out,
Sure,
boys, and so
right.
But it is, and there's less women, and sometimes that's lonely because you don't have as many women to talk to. Men don't like to talk about the same things, in personal, but they don't want to talk about clothes and colors. They want to talk about technology, and I love to talk about technology. But I think men and women both have unique challenges. So when I was a young engineer, I worked with all men. I was like the only female in a department, and they were just so polite and so nice. They always used to open the door for me and let me get off the elevator first, and that was very nice, but it had to come to a point where I wanted them to treat me equal. And they had a hard time because they were trying to be so respectful.
Sure.
And so I always felt that it was my responsibility to be a good steward and a good representative of women in engineering. So it never bothered me for someone to explain something to me that I knew. I just listen and very respectfully. So I felt if you gave respect, you would get respect. So I think all women should do that. They should be a good ambassador of engineering and women in engineering, and just show that women brought a real dynamic to engineering that we hadn't seen before. As a matter of fact, I credit women with concurrent engineering, because as more women were coming into engineering in the 80s and 90s, we had this need to talk in groups and to work as teams. So we'd get all of the engineers together, the mechanical engineer, the electrical engineer, the structural engineer, and we would talk about all these things that were important to us. And I think that the male engineers really like that. So I think by and large, the women entering engineering has been really good for the engineering field. And you ask a woman why she went into engineering, and you'll hear 2 answers: either that because I wanted to make the world a better place, or I wanted to help people. And that's like one of the foundations of women when they go into an engineering career, because they really want to improve the world and make it a better place for all people.
Yeah, you touched on something there that I think is important, and obviously Frazier and Deeter's figured this out as well, because they're consistently, and this is out there, folks. This is not my opinion. This is a fact. Frazier and Deeter is been recognized as a great place for women to work consistently, and that diversity is good for the company and its results.
Yes.
And that's really what you're touching on.
Yes, and all of us together make it better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talented females out there. There's a lot of talented males out there, but they do come at and approach problems differently, and so I think that in the long run can be good, as long as we can figure out how to work with each other.
Well, I have these 4. This is everyone has 3 rules, right? So my 3 rules for a happy life is to be true to yourself, always have an open mind, because if you don't have an open mind, you miss so many possibilities, and to be kind to all God's creatures. So I think if you do those three things, you'll have a very good soul. I have a friend who says, work hard, be a leader, pay attention. So I think if you take his 3 rules and my 3 rules, you've got a winning formula there.
Wow, that's a good place to end, but I'm not ready to end, Roger. So, because I want to get into, before we wrap up here, I really want to get into folks that have heard some things you've got to say, would like to be in touch with you. We'll get the contact information, but how, talk about good fit clients for you, the kind of folks that you work with.
So any business that's really from 5 to 250, and really we're a real good fit for companies that know that technology is their competitive advantage and they want to be better through technology. So whether they're dealing with a problem or they want to grow, so we take people through an alignment process. So we get them aligned, then we go into growth mode and then innovation mode. So really anywhere up that ladder. But people that want to embrace technology, if you hate technology, we're probably not the best, company for you. But if you embrace technology and you want to grow and be better and make your people feel more secure and happier using technology, have a pleasant experience.
Go ahead, Roger.
Go ahead. And I was just going to say, Mary, what's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
They can email me, Mary, at LAN Systems.com, or call us at 770-662-0312 and ask for me.
And your website?
LANSystems.com.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
This has been awesome. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Adele. Roger, John.
Yeah, this has been great. Roger, we need to just stop this show and start part 2 with Mary. This has been awesome, right? This has been great. So
maybe she can help you, John.
Yeah, I need all the help I can get. That's for sure. But no, this has just been another great success story, courtesy of Frazier Deeter. Thanks for getting all this going.
Thank you, John. We'll see you next month.
We look forward to it, folks. I'm John Ray with Roger Lusby and with Adele Erdman. Thanks, Adele, for being here.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Folks, join us next time here on Frazier and Deeter's Business Beat.